our lives today. Baruch Hashem. So to the outside, it may appear rather morbid. But to those who understand its message, it was a profound statement with a demand for introspection by all those who saw this. Now, I'm not advocating that every synagogue should start bringing in empty coffins. But it is a reminder on these high holiday season of how careful, how special life is, and to appreciate it. I actually thought about it a little more, about Rosh Hashanah falling out of 9/11. And I share with you this sobering reminder. And that's something that I believe that is forgotten a lot in the way things go, how life goes on. So what I did was, I had I wish they had that background music, like imagery or dreamlike music. I took an interview with Adam. Yep. As it mentioned, Rosh Hashanah is the day when God created Adam and Eve. And that's when we celebrate it as the head of the Jewish year. So I decided I would contact Adam, Adam Arishan, and ask him, maybe he can teach us something. What does he think of the fact that the second day of Rosh Hashanah is the same as the 17th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks? I had to, not knowing how Adam looked, I said, first, listen, Adam, Mazel Tov on your upcoming 5,779th birthday, right? The Jewish year that we're about to begin is 5779. So Mazel Tov to you. Adam responded and said, thank you, Rabbi. It's still great to be here, to be around. Getting right to the point, I said to him, I don't want to rub it in or put you on the spot, but some of your descendants really did a job with some terrible damage on 9/11, 2001. Adam, of course, got a little embarrassed, and he says, I'm really, don't remind me. I thought folks would learn from my mistakes. So tell me, please, Adam, I said to him, what does it mean to you, 9/11 on Rosh Hashanah? Adam was pretty gracious. He says to me, I thank you for this opportunity. You're the first person to reach out to me. And Adam waxed philosophically, and he said, one of my descendants that I am truly very proud of is the author of the Mishnah. He's known as Rabbi Yehuda the Prince. As editor of the Mishnah, he would say, he shared with us, which is the right path for a person to choose for himself? And he answers, whatever is beautiful for the one who does it, and is also perceived as beautiful by others. And Adam, shared that he was bothered by that. Why would this great rabbi be suggesting that each person choose his own path that he considers beautiful? Really, what if the person's choice of what's beautiful contradicts and undermines the moral systems of society? So how are we to choose the right path in life? That's when the rabbi stepped in. The answer lies in the second part of the teaching. Do you know when you have chosen a beautiful path in life? If it is also perceived as beautiful by other people. The litmus test of a well-chosen, well-thought-out life. If one's example, how we live, enriches and ennobles others so deeply that they make themselves, they themselves exclaim, they themselves shout out and say, you know what? Look at this example. I want to be like him or like her. How beautiful is this? I wish I could do this. So Adam says to us, 9/11 on Rosh Hashanah, the day that God created me and my dear wife, Eva, was the purpose of building the world. And it is a timely reminder of what goes wrong when we choose a life that isn't about building, but destroying lives. In this case, over 3,000 men and women who lost their life on 9/11. Because that kind of choice in life brings neither honor to God or to mankind. I thanked Adam for his insights. Thinking now, of course, highlighting the traditional foods. It's hard to imagine Rosh Hashanah without honey. Apple dipped in honey, a sign of a sweet new year. We eat honey cake, carrots cooked in honey, to start off the new year on a sweet note. Or munch on honey-drenched teglach pastries. So I thought, here's some fun honey facts to start off our new year. Of course, best wishes for Neshana, Tova, or Mesukah for a sweet new year. See if you can write these down or remember them. It takes up to 2 million flowers and 556 bees to make 1 pound of honey. A hive of bees has to fly over 55,000 miles, gathering nectar from flowers to produce 1 pound of honey. 55,000 miles, that's over twice around the world. More specific, an average worker bee visits between 50 and 100 flowers on each nectar gathering trip. The average worker honey makes about 1/1/12 of a teaspoon in his lifetime. Each bee. Honey is the only food widely used by humans that's manufactured by animals. Honey is one of those only 2 animal-produced products that is kosher and parv, which means neither milk nor meat. The other, besides the honey, is the human milk for infants. Honey is so delicious that the Bible notes that the manna God fed the Israelites in the desert tasted like cake fried in honey. I remember in yeshiva, the guy, we had got a new cook one time, and he decided he was going to make something very special for us. This was in Paris many years ago. He decided he would cook bananas in honey. This is the food that we got. Jewish tradition also records that manna tasted like whatever person eating, and this honey it had a taste of a cake fried in honey. Modern doctors caution against feeding infants honey because it can expose very young children to botulism. This advice was also given 1,000 years ago by Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, known as the Rambam, who advised parents not to feed their very young children honey. The Medrash notes several ways that the Jewish people and the Torah are compared to bees. Just as a bee follows a leader, so too we follow the prophets and the sages who advise us. Just as bees can bring both sweetness and stings, so the Torah brings sweetness to those who follow it. And of course, the sadness or the bitterness when we realize that we've missed opportunities. Just as bees collect sweet nectar, so too we all collect sweetness in the form of our mitzvot and good deeds. Devash, the biblical term for honey, also refers to boiled fruit syrups from dates, grapes, pomegranates, and figs. The honey, of course, has so many meanings and reminders of what life is all about. And it behooves us, as we prepare for the holiday and think about it and celebrate it, to think these things over. Just to continue in this same idea, we know that Israel is called a land that flows with milk and honey. Today, Israel produces about 3,500 tons of honey annually. Israeli honey producers maintain about 90,000 beehives in the Jewish state. Israelis eat about 1,600 tons of honey each year on Rosh Hashanah. That's nearly half of their total honey consumption for the entire year. Gewaltige Schrigen. Here in America, take it easy. Take it easy. The average American consumes about 1.31 pounds of honey each year. Wow. Honey is central to a beautiful Jewish tradition carried out in many communities on the first day of preschool. As children prepare to learn the Hebrew alphabet, they are shown the letters covered with a dollop of honey. As the children lick off the honey, they learn their first valuable lesson, that studying Torah is sweet. Wow. In the last few moments of our program, I want to briefly tell you a story of how we should approach Rosh Hashanah and the days ahead. One year, Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Hasidic Masters, asked his student, "You will be sounding the shofar this year. I want you to study all the Kabbalistic meditations that pertain to your shofar. So you should meditate them when you are standing there blowing the shofar." The student applied himself with joy and trepidation, joy over the great privilege giving to him to be able to blow the shofar. He studied all the Kabbalistic teachings and writings and discussed them, and he prepared himself a sheet of paper that he wrote down all the main points of each of the kavanas, all the different thoughts you would have, all the mystical thoughts you would have when you sounded the shofar. Finally, the great moment arrived. It was the morning of Rosh Hashanah. The student got up at the bima in the center of the Baal Shem Tov synagogues amongst the Torah scroll surrounding all of us. And at this table, the Baal Shem Tov himself, his face was aflame. There was an awesome feeling in the synagogue, and the time came to blow the shofar. The rabbi, who was a student, reached into his pocket, and his heart froze. The paper disappeared. All the notes he'd written down to remind him of the great thoughts are gone. He was searching his memory, what he'd learned, but in distress, he lost it. His mind was totally blank. Tears of frustration filled his eyes. He was disappointed. He had to now sound the shofar like a simple horn, without any of these deep thoughts. What should he do? After the conclusion, the Baal Shem Tov said to him, "Good Yontif," he says. "That was the most extraordinary shofar sounding I've ever heard today. Wow, beautiful." Why, he says? Because, the Baal Shem Tov explained, there are many gates in the king's palace, leading to many halls and chambers. The palace keepers have great rings holding many keys to open up in different doors. But there's that master key that opens all the doors. The thoughts, those deep thoughts that you had, are the keys. Each unlocks a door and accesses another chamber in the holy world. But there's one key that unlocks all the doors, which can open up the innermost chambers of the divine palace. That master key is a broken heart. So even though you had forgotten all the kavanas, all those heavy-duty mystical thoughts, but then you just cried from the heart, a broken heart, and that opened all the doors, and we reached into there and were blessed with the good years. Dear friends, as we now come to the conclusion moments of this year, let's remember, that's how we approach the Almighty God on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and the following days. Have that heart. Think deeply about our meaning in life. That'll be the master key for all the blessings that all of us for surely will be blessed for a very good year, a year filled with spirituality, with prosperity, good health, both physically and spiritually. This is your host, Rabbi Pearl, wishing you a Shana Tova U'Mesuka, a good and sweet year.